Welcome back to the Boulder Ortho and Spine Crit. That's a terrifying name for a crit, though. Ortho and Spine Crit. Oh, it's a Cat 5 race, too, and we have Will back on the channel. Good to have you back, buddy.
Good to be back, Jeff. This is the first time I've seen this crit course.
Yeah, it's funny. You just showed this to me. This is audience-submitted footage. This is Ryan. Thank you for waiting just a scant 4 years for us to finally get around to looking at your footage. And I'd realized that, yes, I have covered this course before. This is, like we said, it's in Boulder, and this is like a pretty cool course. This is a crit, but it's like, these are long. These are like 3-kilometer long laps or something like that. Tons of crosswind up here on this bluff. And this is Ryan's, what was it, his third race, I think he said in his notes. His third crit.
Yeah, third crit ever, and I think for Cat 5, especially with the upgrade criteria, it's going to be a lot of people's first, second, third race in this.
And like Ryan, this rider in front of him in the Rafa kit is also solo, and speaking of solo, Will, this guy,
in his very first race, went for a long-range, solo, victorious attack, which is probably why he's going to be marked heavy. Let's fast forward a little bit, see how that plays out.
Only a few kilometers into this race. Remember, guys, Cat 5 races are not that long, so only 21 kilometers left. And it looks like our buddy Ryan here is going to do a little probing attack. I am very much in favor of a probing attack, especially when you're feeling good. But I feel like he could have executed this a little bit better. Will, you see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it's something that's kind of hard to tee up, and when you're in a Cat 5 race, it's not really going to matter because you've just got so much disparity in fitness. But attacking on the outside, you kind of have to just cover more ground. So the effort that you're putting in is not always going directly into separating from the field.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. I mean, because he went outside, it doesn't seem like much, but that's like 1 or 2 extra bike lengths of just distance that you have to cover. So if you're going to attack, you want it to be as potent and effective as possible. Take the inside line. Also, there's a pretty hot right to left crosswind, and he wasn't up against those cones on the left. What you're trying to do is snap the acceleration, get a quick gap, so that means take the short line like we said, and then also discourage people from chasing you. And if they are chasing you, make them work just as hard as you have to work. So stay as far to the left as possible. But as we're discussing this, he's now down to like 150 watts. So I think this attack has been covered pretty handily by the field.
And this is like, I don't know if that guy pulled him back or if the dude on the red bike pulled him back, but it seems like those guys were the only 2 on the front. I would be willing to bet.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. And this has caused, I mean, we're only a couple hundred meters later, this has caused a disturbance. And guess who now is just kind of like slow rolling off the front, almost seemingly by accident, is dude with all the power in the world who we had identified from the beginning, who won solo, I think it was the week before this, is now just motoring away. And you know you're a ball of talent when you're like, oh, I accidentally have a gap, I may as well just roll it. That's what this looks like to me. But he's only in this small group. So that attack, although he could have executed a little bit better, it really disrupted this field and really set things off for what was result in a couple of key selections in this race.
There's no such thing as overtraining, just under-recovering. And that's why the pros are able to ride like 20, sometimes 30 hours per week. It's because the rest of their time is spent focused on recovery, which begins with good sleep. And that's the focus of today's video sponsor, DreamShot, available on thefeed.com. This is a melatonin-free sleep-enhancing elixir that has improved user sleep by 70%. It's not an everyday supplement for me, I'll be honest with you guys. But on days when I'm particularly stressed and I need deep, restorative sleep, like right now, you can probably hear it in my voice, I'm recovering from a cold, it's my go-to. It tastes great, it doesn't have that grogginess from melatonin or Benadryl. It's third-party tested and certified for purity and quality, so sleep like a champion. Follow the QR code on screen or use my link in the description to get 40% off your first purchase.
Okay, so here's the situation. We have that solo rider off the front, just by himself. I'm sure he's at this point aware of his gap, but you can still see him in the distance. He's still very much catchable, especially in this 3 versus 1 situation, because as you saw, there's 2 other riders in this field making a chase group of 3. Now, Will, I want to hear your thoughts, because in my mind, as long as you are efficiently rotating, it's something like 90-95% of the effort on a road bike is pushing through the wind. You know, there's rolling resistance, there's drivetrain losses, but most of what you're fighting against is the wind. So if you're in the draft, you're saving something like 30%, 40% energy saving. So a 3 versus 1 situation, they should be able to pull that guy back, even if he's got a ton more power than they do. But the key factor there is cleanly rotating. So what does that look like if you're a Cat 5 racer trying to get into the sport?
Yeah, I would assume that a lot of these guys have done group rides before, and so you should kind of know the idea of how to like flick your elbow and get people to roll through. But once you get cagey in a race and you're like, oh, I'm trying to save energy, or like that guy's sending a corner a little harder than you're like maybe not as willing to pull through as hard, or maybe you're just kind of zoned out and stuff like that, where you're not going to pull through at the same speed. The momentum changes. You lose speed as a group overall. That's not going to happen to that guy in the front because he's just going to settle into a pace and he's just going to keep that speed. A group of 3 can go faster unless they have those like big slow ups, and then it just gets drastically slower. And that's when a breakaway, especially a solo breakaway, can just make it happen.
Yeah, good point. And if we go back and we look at that little chicane section of the course one more time, kind of proves the point that you were making, Will. Like, we have Ryan here, like, coasting for a second. You do not need to coast through any of these. And then he's back on the power, and then he's back way up over threshold doing 400 and something watts, back down to 0. And this rider in front of him, who admittedly has a mountain biking background, just clean through that chicane. Like, he hit the apexes, he was just consistent. And that whole time, Ryan, heart rate now spiked up to 177, 178, and climbing, was riding inefficiently out of the draft and probably forcing the rider behind him to do the same. So, yeah, to your point, like, they are not efficiently rotating here, which bodes well for the solo rider off the front. And as a result, the slumped head, the slow cadence, the looking down, like, we've identified these things in a previous video from a few weeks ago, I remember, of just like suffering. And that's what that looks like. And I think that's a result of the inefficient riding they were doing. So it does not look like this group of 3 is cleanly rotating. They were on the wrong side of the draft a bunch of times. They were not going through that chicane section cleanly. And now solo rider cannot be seen, even on this totally flat course. You just cannot see him in the distance anymore. And, you know, one thing I noticed, Will, is this rider on the red bike, the mountain biker, was doing the lion's share of the work. At this point, we're a couple kilometers later. They're obviously very dysfunctional. And then even when Ryan was taking the front here, I did notice that, look, I mean, he's under 200 watts right now. Yeah, back down to around 200. And we know he's capable of a lot more than that because the pulls earlier on in this race were closer to 300, 350 watts. And when he was behind the mountain biker on the red bike, I feel like he was doing more than 200 watts. So they're starting to play games. I don't think he's getting tired. His heart rate was up at 180 earlier. Doesn't appear that way. But they're in this interesting spot now where they're like, I don't know if we're going to catch the guy up the road. I don't know if we're going to get caught. And like 8 kilometers to go is a long way from the finish to start playing games. What are your thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, it really is. I think that mountain biker, he might be like sussing out that whenever Ryan pulls here, they're probably not going faster. Like, they're probably slowing down a little bit when Ryan gets on the front because his pulls are, about the same power as when he's in the draft. So if I'm that mountain biker behind, I'm thinking maybe if I was alone, I could get a little closer to pulling this guy back or just go faster than this guy at all. Like, is this guy an anchor for me? And when you start thinking you could go faster alone, that's kind of when you need to start getting rid of brake mates.
Yeah, and he waits for him to finish his pull, and he nukes it. So this is not unpredictable. Like this is what you would expect if you want to prevent this type of thing from happening. And you're Ryan, like, you just have to commit a little bit more energy to your pulls on the front. You can't just completely lean on the other riders. Like, this happened to me all the time at Alvisa, for example, where you get a breakaway and then people are like, I'm not working anymore, I'm just going to sit on. And it's like, I'm just going to attack, and it is probably going to sabotage the breakaway, but I'm not going to allow riders to sit on. And it looks like that's what mountain biker on the red bike here was doing too. Like, dude, okay, like, either we're going to share the load here to stay away from the chasing peloton, maybe even catch the solo rider, or I'm going to attack and try solo. But one thing that mountain biker's not going to do is just pull Ryan to the finish. And he shouldn't. I think this is a good move. But he only tries once. And if you're going to commit to that strategy, like, you got to keep trying, especially if the rider that you're towing along continues to take weak pulls, which, as you can see, Ryan continues to sit on. and take weak pulls. And this is the game, right? Like Ryan's like, I want to beat this dude for second, maybe even first if they catch that solo rider. And then the mountain biker's like, I want to get rid of him. He's not contributing. And this is like the beauty of bike racing. And as you can see, like mountain biker just kind of stays on the front and still continues doing the lion's share of the work here. So it's no surprise then with about 1 kilometer left in this race, mountain biker takes his last pull and then just gets countered. And it was a funny thing. Like Ryan didn't really nuke it and get that gap. He just, like the same way the solo rider who's off the front winning the race right now, by the way, he just kind of rolled a gap. And this time, finally, he gets this chicane just about right. His power is still kind of all over the place, but he hits apexes. He stays on the gas throughout these corners. There is no reason you need to stop pedaling through here. And it looks like he's got a clear line to the finish. He's got 650 meters left to go. His heart rate's 181. But I really like the way that he executed here on the last half a lap. Will, as somebody who finds himself in a lot of situations like this off the front in a small group, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is kind of a dream situation for me. Like an early send, you get a little bit of a gap, and then you just ride the 45 seconds of lightning to the finish. It's a hard effort, but it feels really cool when it works out. Nobody comes around you at the end. But, man, every once in a while, you don't get enough gap, you don't hit it hard enough and get that separation, and it is just the end of your race from there. Like, you might get
Right.
40th place.
And it worked out for you, Ryan, this time, but I think that there's always room for improvement. Of course there's always room for improvement. So what you want these late race breakaways to look like is a very short, sharp surge in power. You know, think about like half of a sprint, like 5 seconds at 1,000 watts, something like that. And then you settle in, you get aero, and you maintain the amount of power that you think you can hold to the finish line. So maybe that's 500 watts or 400 watts in this case, because I think that's probably about what he averaged. And the idea behind it is that initial surge in power, you get a gap, and then the most efficient way to the finish line from there is consistent. Consistency is efficiency. So again, whatever you did this time, Ryan, it worked, but as you cat up, you'll find more success with that strategy. But in any case, thank you for sharing your footage. Congrats again on the second place. And Will, as always, great having you on, my man.
Thanks, Jeff.